Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here at our alumni panel today. Hosting this event is the National Society of Minorities in Hospitality, GSU chapter. My name is Yen Nguyen. I am the chapter president and also your moderators for the panel today. And so for this event, we have two very successful alumni who both graduated from GSU with a major in hospitality, Maria Bustamante and Joshua Laster. Hi, Maria and Joshua. We're so grateful to have for your time here with us today. And I'm excited to learn more about your journeys as well as your stories. May, can you please advance to the next slide? And I think that for most of our students here today, today is the first time that you've ever met our alumni speakers. So I would like to give everyone a little background of how Maria and Joshua got to where they are today professionally. So Maria graduated from the Georgia State Cecil B. Day School of Hospitality in 2015, and she was the president of the American Hotel and Lodging Association during her junior and senior year. She was then recruited by Omni Hotel at CNN Center during her last semester in college to work in revenue management as group rooms coordinator. A few months after that, she was promoted to be a front desk manager, and she was in that position for 2 years. And then in 2017, she moved properties and helped open the Omni Hotel at the Battery, Atlanta, as a reservations revenue manager, where she helped build rates, inventory, and forecast for this brand new hotel. In late 2019, Maria had the great opportunity of learning another side of the hotel industry and joined Expedia Group before the start of COVID-19. And then we have Joshua. Joshua is a 2016 graduate, also from the School of Hospitality, and he is a NSMH National Executive Board alumni. Currently, he works as the Rooms Operations Manager at the 335 room Hyatt Regency North Dallas in Texas. His experience includes 2 convention center properties, up to 1,800 rooms, as well as more intimate boutique and luxury properties across front desk and housekeeping disciplines. He's also worked for both managed and franchise properties, as you can see on the slide here. He's previously worked as Director of Housekeeping at the Sheraton Dallas Hotel, and also as a housekeeping manager at the Sheraton Dallas Hotel. And so before we jump into the Q&A session, I want to let everyone know that you are welcome to ask our alumni any question that you may have during the panel. Please use the hand raise feature, and once I get to you, you can unmute, introduce yourself, and then state your question. So without further ado, let's get the Q&A started. So I'd like to start off this panel by asking a question to both of our alumni. As mentioned earlier, Maria, your first position post-graduation was to be a group rooms coordinator at the Omni Hotel at the CNN Center. And for Joshua, I believe it's rooms manager in training at Sheraton Dallas Hotel. And for the students here, especially graduating seniors like myself, can you share the steps that you took in order to land that first job after graduation?
Do you want me to go to first, Joshua?
Okay.
Okay. This Zoom thing. Okay, let me make sure I got my hand off. Okay. So yeah, I graduated in the fall semester of 2015. And to be honest, the first job that I got was basically because I was involved in the Georgia Hotel and Lodging Association, organization. I was at the School of Hospitality has a board of directors, and I believe the still have a meeting every few months or so. It's probably different because of COVID, but I was chosen to go there, and I volunteered to go there, and I got to meet a lot of GMs and people from around the city, and I really hit it off with the GM at the Omni Hotel at CNN Center. His name is Scott Stuckey, and I honestly probably owe my first step into getting into hospitality to him. So my piece of advice is continue doing this. And sometimes I found that my fellow peers or friends did not want to do the extracurricular activities or join these extra groups on top of schoolwork. But if I hadn't done that, to be honest, I would not have gotten the opportunities that I have today. So that's what I would tell you guys. Keep going to this, make sure you're participating and being active. It really will go a long way.
Yeah, and I'll second that. Mine was the same deal with NSMH though. At the national conference, obviously you have all the different sponsors that are there: Hyatt, Marriott, Starwood, Sodexo, a bunch of different people from the industry in different areas. And I was working with the Sheraton at the time as a front office supervisor during my graduation year. And in the fall is kind of when you start to apply for all the manager and training programs. So I'm not sure if they're still doing them right now, but Marriott will have one now since Starwood and Marriott are together. I think Hilton does one. MGM does one, I believe. But I applied for that and I had the interview at the national conference. And that's when they also gave me actually accepted me into the program. And I moved out to Dallas right shortly after graduation, like literally 4 days after graduation, I moved out to Dallas to start my manager and training position there. So, and it just kind of grew from there. So just like Maria was saying, you got to be active. You can't just be the courses and expect to come out with a position. You got to be active out there. And some of the organizations out in the city and things like that, it'll come.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Like I can relate to both of your experiences. Like for Maria, for the industry board meeting, we still do that every semester. So the past semester and this semester, we actually held it. We're gonna hold it like virtually. So like yeah, like every time I just like attend those industry board meetings, like it's a little bit overwhelming, but I do think that yeah, it is a great opportunity for students to like do their networking, because a lot of the times like they would drop their email in the chat box and they'd be like, oh, send me your resume. And so yeah, definitely for this upcoming one, I'm gonna take advantage of it. And for Joshua, yeah, the NSMH national conference, I went the first time I went to that conference, it was last February, and that was like before COVID, so we didn't have one this year. But yeah, it was eye-opening because it actually is like kind of like workshop slash career fair at the same time. A lot of employers. So for any of the students here who would want to be in NSMH like for the foreseeable future, probably next year, you probably get the chance to go to those conferences as well.
And a big go back on that one with those national conferences, when you've got a couple of years, it's the same recruiters every year for the most part. So you actually will build a relationship with these guys. And by the time your time to graduate, they'll definitely be letting you know, like, hey, I've seen your experience. I've seen your leadership skills through the program. Are you interested in coming on? So.
Yeah, definitely. And so there's another question that I have. The second question I want to ask Maria first. So your current position with Expedia is market associate. I'm sure that everyone knows that Expedia is an online travel agency, but I'm not so sure that we know kind of your like the full scope of your job as a market associate. Can you walk us through your daily responsibilities and perhaps an example of a long-term project that you worked on or are working on?
Yeah, so basically, in other words, we have a team of, so unfortunately, we were impacted by COVID, and before COVID, our team was a lot larger than it is now. So basically, it's a group of 4 of us that oversee different sectors of Atlanta. We each have a different market. I oversee more of like the suburbs, like Lawrenceville, Norcross, Kennesaw, some more of the outskirts of Atlanta. And our job is to basically work consultants to the properties and making sure that, their hotel is being displayed correctly on Expedia. If they have any need dates where they could push a promotion with us that will help them, get to the top of the page if people are searching for a certain part of the city. I have about 170 hotels that I oversee, most of them being suburbs, most of them being smaller. So my colleagues have the bigger, like downtown Atlanta hotels. They've been with Expedia a little longer. But at the end of the day, we're there to help the hotel, and especially during COVID, it was very challenging to talk to these hotels, and especially last year, just to hear that everything was like they were shutting down, or they couldn't do anything because business was not there. So I definitely joined at an interesting time. I joined December before the March that we shut down the country. So it was a big learning curve. I had to kind of adapt to thinking from an OTA side, because it's a lot different than being on the hotel side. So yeah, we were basically consultants, making sure they're using Expedia in the best way possible. For a long-term project, if I'm being honest, right now, we're slowly ramping back up. We're doing everything we can to make sure these hotels are where they need to be with Expedia. Like we've mentioned before, a lot of people are facing staffing needs. So if they don't have enough staff, then, certain strategies with us wouldn't work. But I think we can all resonate that our big project right now is just getting through this pandemic and seeing travel come alive again, because it is coming back, but it's taking, that step-by-step approach.
Wow, that's so interesting. I've heard like the name of the position, like market associate, like on LinkedIn here and there, but I never really understand what it's really like working for Expedia. And for you're overlooking is it 170 hotels, if I remember correctly? That's a lot. That's a lot of clients that you're working with.
Yeah, it is. They're not all responsive or like super like you have to build. It's all about relationship building. They definitely don't all talk to you, but the goal is to get them to talk to you.
Wow, very cool. And then, okay, so for this third question, I want to ask Joshua. You've had a lot of experience in hotel like managerial positions. What was the skill that you wish you had before entering that first supervisory position, especially in the rooms and housekeeping division, where you have to coordinate a lot of associates?
I think a big one that a lot of people overlook is conflict management. And that comes into handy both with guests and with associates, but just with so many people working together, a lot of times you'll hear about it when you work in hotels, there's rivalries between different departments in a way. It's not real rivalries, but housekeeping and front desk have those rivalries. And then, the kitchen and banquets might have a rivalry like that. But it's really just kind of managing those relationships. One of the things that I was told is hospitality is people and processes. Those are the two things that you have to manage to be successful. So I think that conflict management piece is a big one. Just figuring out how to de-escalate situations with people when they get to a certain level, how to bring them back down, calm them down, and then get them back out there to, deal with the guest in the best way possible. So at the end of the day, it's always about the guest.
Yeah, that's conflict management. I think I've kind of learned this, like just like the concept of it, like in school, but it's never really like been applied to, like day to day, like actual like situations. So I think that's definitely something that, for like fresh graduates coming out of school, that's something that they will like often lack and need more practice on. So is there a tip that you kind of discovered throughout the years, for better conflict management?
Yeah, I think the big thing for you is you always have to realize that people aren't necessarily upset with you as a person. They're upset at the uniform. And that's kind of what we tell our front desk agents. When you have a guest, for example, that's yelling at you about something that happened that was outside of your control, they're not mad at you specifically. They're mad at the uniform. So you have to kind of take yourself out of the equation, look at it from the guest point of view, and then kind of figure out the best solution for them.
Yeah, that's really good advice. If I do get a job, I mean, after May, like I think that's something that I will always be reminded of because it's hard not to take it personally, and yeah, that's really cool. So for this next question, I actually want to ask both of you. From what I've noticed, you both have moved up the career ladder, whether it's internal promotion or working for a completely different property or company. Is there an unlikely space that you gain experience in that kind of help you grow and propel your career?
I guess I'll go next. So you're asking like if there was anything in specific like that we did in order to keep advancing in like the same company?
Yeah. Or just a different company too.
A different company. So obviously I started at a property as well in hotels, and you'll come to learn, as Joshua said, you're working with teams with different departments. And honestly, in hospitality, you have to be willing to help anywhere you can, because sometimes you're gonna, I mean, some of the most memorable like life teaching moments were like when I worked during Hurricane Matthew, like 1,000-room hotel without lights or power. Seeing my GM and I like running food service orders up to rooms. Like I was working at the restaurant. I was working the desk. You kind of have to be a team player, and you have to like people, because that's like the big one. You have to be kind of like servant leadership. I think some of the best people or bosses that I've had are not afraid to, jump at the front desk and help me get this line down, are not afraid to clean a room if I need to. It's just honestly the nature of the business. And I think my willingness to always help and be a team player, it'll go a long way. And believe it or not everyone will be a team player. So when you are one, it will stand out. And I think the progression and people wanting to promote you will come naturally because you want to help out and make sure the business is running smoothly.
I think for me, relationships really do matter in hospitality. And we talk about it a lot. Every hotel that I've kind of been to, it's like, I'll be like, they'll talk about someone and I'll be like, I know that person. And hospitality is a small world. People from Georgia, I've met people that here in Texas that know them from Georgia or know them from California or from New York. Relationships are very important. So everyone you come across, you want to try and make a good impression, keep in contact with them. My very first job in hospitality was loss prevention, which usually isn't something that people think about when they're going into hotels. But a friend from high school knew the director of security at a hotel downtown, and that's how I got my foot in the door in hotels. And that's really all it takes a lot of times, just getting your foot in the door somewhere, proving yourself, and then getting into the position you're more so interested in. So really manage those relationships and really value them. Don't burn bridges.
Yeah, exactly. Especially during COVID, you'll be surprised how many people like reconnected and helped each other get jobs. I think the pandemic showed more than ever how unified and those relationships really matter for your career.
Yeah, a lot of times you'll see when a position gets posted, a lot of times, especially in management, they already have a person in mind for it. So again, like she said, it really goes back to that relationship.
Wow, those are really very insightful advice. Like Maria, you mentioned that like just having that willingness to help goes a long way. And I definitely like when you talked about your past like GM, that kind of reminded me of the operations manager that I worked with in my internship, she was the same person. Like I would never have imagined that an operations manager would have to like clean out the trash and then, you know, like go into the room, just like look at the most, like the smallest things. And yeah, that's exactly what she did. And I think that's something that everyone who wants to get into like hotel needs to keep in mind of. Yeah, and so now I kind of want us to switch gears a bit and to have our alumni share more about their time at the School of Hospitality and more specifically their leadership with student organizations. So if you don't remember from the introductions, Maria was a former AHLA chapter president in her junior and senior year. And Joshua is still involved at a national level as he is the NSMH National Executive Board alumni. So my question for you both is to kind of persuade our students here to get more involved with student orgs. Can you let us know, you know, what are the benefits of being a student member versus being a student leader? Or what are the differences too? Like how do you define it? What are the benefits?
Okay. I think as a student member, a lot of times it's usually going to be like your first, like your freshman, sophomore student members, because you're kind of getting your feet wet in not just hospitality or courses, but also kind of what the industry itself has to offer. So you're looking for who are those guest speakers that are coming, what are those opportunities to kind of network with other hospitality students and things like that. And that's where the benefit really comes from as a member. Once you've done that though, and you want to be a little bit more involved and kind of start building your resume, which is a really big part of being in the leadership part, you kind of start applying for those positions. So I think I was like the membership person originally my freshman year with NSMH. And it's really, again, it's just getting your feet wet, starting to get a lot of those skills that you're going to need out in the real workplace. And people start to take notice of that. And then you can kind of further that and go further and further from there. But that's the difference I see between a student member and a student leader, the different benefits.
Yeah, I love that. That's exactly, I think, looking back, how I was like my junior or freshman and sophomore year. Of course, you're still not really taking those core hospitality classes, so you may not even know that these programs exist. But as you enter your junior and senior year, I recommend that the way that I got or how I wanted to like become president of AHLA is I was already close to that president, and he kind of showed me, mentored me. I honestly didn't even know that I was gonna run for president when I was talking to him. I was just kind of absorbing the knowledge. But as Joshua said, your first couple of years, be active, join these sessions. But then once you hit your junior and senior year, you have to step up to the plate, and you'd be surprised. Like you gain so many like public speaking skills or like interview skills because you're being spotlighted in front of executives across the city. So yeah, like he said, that's the biggest difference. You'll stand out a little more, and you'll just gain skills that you wouldn't just as a regular member. They're both equally valuable. It's better to do one or the other versus none. And there are people that are not involved at all. But and then on top of all of the other cool benefits, like going to a conference, like I know for AHLA, we would go to New York. I got to go to New York basically free for 2 years in a row. We got to stay in cool hotels. Dr. Barber was the one that headed that. I'm not sure if she still does. But yeah, you won't regret it. And it makes a difference of my friends that were involved versus when I was involved. So it's just a matter of being proactive and choosing to be, that you want to set your future up for success. And that's honestly up to you on how you do that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, when I stepped into my president position at NSMH, I like you, Maria, I didn't really see myself like doing that. It was because the other president, she had to like step down for a while. But yeah, like I do agree. Like I gained like skills that I never thought I would be like, gaining exposure to. Like you said, public speaking, that's so important. And then like when it comes down to interview, you're just a lot more comfortable with just speaking with like this person that you've never met before, and just kind of like be more confident in like your experience. And I think that's gonna kind of help you like standing out. But yeah, that's really, it's really nice. So and as I was planning this event, I've heard from Chow Nguyen, our business manager. She's away right now for a little bit, but she did mention that Joshua and Maria were both outstanding hospitality students. So I'm sure that you both definitely took full advantage of your college experience and kind of turned that into a foundation for your career. But as someone who has been working in the industry for a while now, and probably working with like college students or college graduates, is there anything you would have done differently or would have done better during your college years? And this is for both of you. Joshua, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I was trying to find my mute button. Sorry. Done differently.
Or better?
Or better.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me was with NSMH specifically. So we kind of you kind of have that local level leadership where you're like for example, you're the president of the chapter, and then you kind of move on to that national level if you're interested in it, and that kind of gives you an opportunity to lead the organization as a whole. So there's obviously chapters in every state, and you kind of get to interact with those guys as someone that's overseeing the entire organization. I think for me, I probably would have liked to spend more time at the local level. So at those local leadership levels, kind of really just building up that organization, because there's a lot of benefits that AHLA, NSMH, all those organizations really do have to provide to people. And I just wish that we would have been able to bring more people into the fold for that piece, because I think a lot of people do kind of miss out on that because they don't necessarily see the benefits of those organizations. Career-wise, I think just like we've kind of been talking about, taking those leadership positions does really kind of sharpen you and get you ready for a lot of those things without you even realizing it. So again, just jumping earlier into those leadership roles and really taking advantage of that.
For me, I mean, it feels like such a long time ago, to be honest. Let's see. I think I started kind of being active in student organizations my junior year. A part of me, honestly, if I'm being honest, I would have loved to have been a student aide at the School of Hospitality, like actually working with like Esther. She used to be the business manager, and kind of plan more events. But I think you have to make sure that, you're not putting too much on your plate. Of course, you still want to focus on your studies, keep, your grades up. So looking back, I would say I'm happy that I went to the Cecil V. Day School of Hospitality. Dr. Cannon, not take advantage, but talk to your professors, talk to Dr. Barber, there's so many, Dr. Cannon, she's a very well-connected person across Atlanta. Everybody knows her. And I think at first I was a little shy and a little hesitant when I was, just becoming a junior, and I didn't know that. So I think I don't necessarily regret it. I think I grew into the more confidence, into, wanting to apply for, different student organizations. But yeah, honestly, you just have to build that confidence in yourself when you're in college. I know it can be intimidating when you're talking to people that are way older than you. And if I'm being honest, when you actually step into the workforce, especially in hotels, you are going to be working with people that are more seasoned. They've been in it for 10, 20 years, and you're like the college graduate, and, you will feel out of place. I definitely felt out of place sometimes. more than once in meetings. So I think just building your confidence in your speaking skills and your rationale is very important when you're about to graduate. And when it comes to career, I'm very grateful that I chose to go with operations first before I went into sales and revenue, because I know what it's like to work, the front desk, what housekeeping's like. Like Joshua said, there are little stigmas in hotels between like sales and the front desk, or sales and revenue, housekeeping, front desk. There really is. It's all in good fun, but one person's department affects another person's department. So just be mindful of the career choice that you make when you're looking for jobs, and be proud of yourself, and look at your options, look at all the options you get. Don't settle just because it's the first one and you think like, oh my goodness, that's like the only people that will take me. Be competitive. You're going to a great school, so I just make sure you value your education to make the right choice of that position you want to go into first, and what you think you'll be most passionate about, if that makes sense. Just prioritizing, once again, like prioritizing your future and where you see yourself going like 5 years down the line or longer.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not even in the workforce yet. I'm only in my last year at school, but I do relate to a lot of things that you guys mentioned. Like for Joshua, like even though I'm not involved at the national level for NSMH, like I do wish that I kind of step into this role and provide more events for my student organization, and just keep getting better at it. But now I'm graduating, I'm like, oh, no more time. But yeah, like Maria too, definitely building that confidence, and yeah, just be better with, I don't know, just with being confident in your future jobs. But yeah, so, and then another question I would have for both of you is, what advice would you give students looking to work in the same position or in the same organization as you?
I would say when you do get your foot in the door, be very hands-on. A lot of the stigma that a lot of people have about college students kind of coming into the workforce is that you kind of feel like you know everything because you went to school for it. And like Maria was talking about earlier, you're going to be in the same room with people that have been doing this longer than you've been born, and they will let you know about it. So that confidence piece is huge. So you do have to go in there knowing that you do have some information behind you. But also outside of that, you also have to be humble and know that you do have a lot to learn experience-wise. So be hands-on. If you're in housekeeping, go in and make rooms with the housekeepers. Go in and help the housemen strip rooms. If you're a front desk, check people in, cover people's breaks. If you're in banquets, go out there and serve tables. Be hands-on with it and learn what it is that they're actually going through every day. So that way you can better manage them and better manage things from their perspective. So that would be my biggest thing. Just be hands-on, be humble, and be confident.
For me, definitely agree with being humble. I think when people see that you're eager to learn and you're humble about, it's okay to say, I don't know how to do this, or can you help me? That shows people that you're taking initiative and you want to learn the ways of, whatever you'll be working in. And another one for me is in hotels, and I think in our industry, it may be, you wouldn't think it, but you have to develop thick skin in hotels. Especially if you work in operations, like Joshua mentioned before. If you work the desk, if you're the manager on duty, people, like you said, they're yelling at you, but they're yelling at the uniform, and you have to learn not to take it personally. And I think my time as a front desk manager at the Omni downtown was, I started the January after I graduated until like late 2017. I think the person that I was, not like personally, but like work-wise, I completely changed into being, you have to be a fast problem solver, like think quickly, like what's going to fix this right now, but not take it personally. Like I'm already a very friendly person. And, they tell you just smile all the time at the desk, but that won't always be the case. And honestly, develop thick skin and don't take it personally. Even in Expedia, I still have partners that will get mad and yell at us. Like I think it's in any service industry you're in. So that would probably be my biggest thing, just to have thick skin.
Yeah, hospitality is such a customer, like, I guess, like centered industry. So those are definitely good advice that I'll bring with me in the future. And at the beginning of the panel, you guys did mention about, like relationship management and like networking. So how have you like kept connected with everyone in the industry, and maybe like with fellow alumni, or with the school, especially when you have such a busy schedule?
I think LinkedIn is a really huge one. And I think Georgia State does a good job of kind of making sure that everyone's on there and understands the importance of it. So get on there and set it up to get yourself to that all-star status is what they call it. Have your work experience on there, have your organization experience on there. Where are you? Are you open to work? All those type of things. And you'd be surprised. One, it's a great way to keep up with other alumni from the school, other people that you meet at conferences and things like that. But outside of that, people will reach out to you. Let's say somebody's looking for a front desk supervisor in the area. They see you just graduated. They see you did a front desk internship a couple of summers. They'll reach out to you and say, hey, we're looking for this person. I saw your experience. You might be good for this role. Are you interested in interviewing? And you'd be surprised how many people reach out and just need people to are kind of looking for graduates and things like that. So I would say LinkedIn's a really big one.
Yeah, honestly, in our modern day and age, social media like LinkedIn is like the Facebook of jobs. So yeah, and I think naturally in your career you will get close to certain people that you've worked with, and you'll actually become friends. So of course, using other social media channels. So like I was saying before we started the panel, like social media has like that positive side of we may not always talk to these people, but especially, like I said, during the pandemic, people share what they're going through, whether it is on Facebook or Instagram or, in a more professional sense on LinkedIn. And always following the, School of Hospitality Facebook pages, LinkedIn pages, Instagram. That's kind of where I keep up to date. Like they have the happy hours, panels, things like that. So honestly, just stay active on, those social media and LinkedIn websites, especially now during COVID more than ever. Like there really isn't another way to do it. So highly encourage that.
Yeah, I think now I would like to ask our students here on the call today, if you have any questions for our alumni, please use the hand raise feature and yeah, let me know. May, would you like to start with your question?
Yes, I have a few questions for you. So I would like to introduce myself first. My name is May. I'm currently the event chair at NSMH chapter at GSU. So I see you really enjoy what you're doing right now. That seemed like a big success for me. So my question for both of you is like where you see yourself in 10 years, or like do you have any personal career goals in 10 years?
You want to take that one first, Maria?
Yeah, so that's a tough question. I know when I was in college and people would ask me, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? I had very solid answers. I think now, because of the pandemic and our industry being so affected, things and like I have friends that, were literally going to get a job in like airline industry right before the pandemic. They they left their hotel job and now they don't have one. So I think our industry more than ever, it went through a tough situation, but it's picking back up. And I mean, that's good for college students that you guys will have those job opportunities. I can't only imagine last year how rough that was if you were graduating. But 10 years down the line, I do see myself continuing in sales and revenue management. I would eventually like to get up to a role where I'm back overseeing a team again. Right now, I kind of am my own, like I have my boss and my teammates, but we are each responsible for our own hotels versus when I was at the desk and we were all responsible for running the same hotel, the same team. So in 10 years, I don't know, maybe I'll go back on property, maybe as the director of sales, director of revenue, but I definitely see myself continuing in that path. And then from personal, eventually, your personal life will also come to play with your career and the moves that you're able to make. But yeah, I don't know specifically, but I definitely know I want to continue in sales and revenue, but work my way up to overseeing a team instead of just being myself individually.
I think for me, I know for sure I would like to be back in Atlanta. That's home for me at the end of the day. So leaving Dallas behind at some point and coming back to Atlanta. As far as role, either as an area GM role or VP of operations on the corporate side. So looking to stay in operations, just adding to that responsibility as far as more of what I'm overseeing. So.
Well, that's very interesting to know. Thank you. And another question that I have for you is, what are some changes or strategy that you think needed for the hospitality to recover during and after COVID?
Sorry, I missed the last part. What was the last part?
So I repeat the question. What are some changes or strategy that you think needed for the hospitality industry to recover during and after COVID?
So, I mean, I think the industry's changed so much, and I know it was rough in the past when we were going through it last year, but I think the changes that are happening now with, cleanliness and hygiene are here to stay. And I know as a traveler that was going to give people more of a peace of mind, because let's face it, not all hotels are as nice as others, or not as clean as others. So right now, I think the hotel's ability to, show customers how, what their hygiene standards are, or how they're, checking their employees daily, or if they're getting vaccinated or not. People are just going to become more conscious of the cleanliness part. And us at Expedia last year, we did a big project where we called all of our hotels and we did like a hygiene protocol list that will show up on our website. If people make a decision between two hotels and they see one hotel doesn't have the same protocols and things like that. But yeah, and I know probably Joshua can speak to this a lot more from the operations side on how the travel experience will be a lot more different, and not in a bad way. I think I personally would like to know when I'm going to be staying in a place that's clean versus like not so clean hotel room.
I agree. A lot of it is going to be those optics, people seeing that there's someone out in the lobby disinfecting the front desk, disinfecting the credit card, the handles, the buttons, seeing those hand sanitizer stations on the floors, all those type of things. Some of the places that are still requiring masks, like in Texas, for example, we're 100% open, and there's no longer a mask mandate, which there's been a lot of attention around that, but there's a lot of places that are still requiring it for the most part. So people are seeing that, and that's making them more comfortable to go to those places. On the other side of it, on the staffing side, another piece that's kind of changing is a lot of people, when a lot of the jobs went away, went into other industries. So for one of the big ones was the industrial industry, warehousing with Amazon and things like that, where they're paying $15 an hour. And so I think a lot of the pay rates are definitely going up as well. And I think that's a good thing for the industry because people work really hard in hospitality and sometimes the pay doesn't always match with that. So I think a lot of people are realizing that now, and it's going to match up a lot better with where people's expectations are for those positions. So.
Yeah, that's right. I totally agree. I also feel like that the pandemic makes our work like more high tech. Like since like I see the touch list menus everywhere, and then like human list check-in. That's really interesting to me. Yeah. Okay, that's all I want to ask. Thank you so much for your answer.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
We have another question from Roderisha. Roderisha, if you don't mind unmuting yourself and ask your question.
Hello, my name is Rodrisha Jenkins. I'm a senior and I graduate in the fall. My question is, how do you impress yourself when it comes to those difficult moments? Like, how do you most like impress yourself or decide this is, going to be your course of action in those difficult moments?
So I guess it varies. Do you mean like when you're facing like a difficult guest, or if you're in sales, you're facing like a difficult client? Do you mean like in that sort of scenario?
Yes, and just those challenges in the workplace.
Right. Honestly, I think, you hope like you'll actually, I feel like it comes with experience. I think the more you run into a situation, like you'll see the same guest complaint from 100 other guests. I've seen a similar client being upset with, I don't know, flowers not being where they're supposed to be, or how like people will be really nitpicky, and they honestly have the right to be. They are paying for, our services. At the end of the day, so one thing that I really learned from Omni, it's called the power of one. With Omni, and I'm sure it is the same with a lot of hotels, you don't have to ask your boss permission for making a situation correct. If you think you know the solution right there, why waste the guest or client's time and like, oh, let me go ask my boss? Like, they gave us that assertiveness to make a decision that will, I remember it was like, it'll benefit the guest, it'll benefit you, and it benefits the company. So if we can get a guest to be fix them before they go and write like a terrible complaint, that's helping the company, will help the guests, and then, you help yourself by like knowing like, hey, I checked that off. I was able to fix the situation. It honestly, I think this comes with the passion that you have to help people, because when I was at CNN, I saw people having heart attacks. I saw someone falling down the staircase and literally bleeding everywhere. I had, people, you see so many drastic things, especially in whatever market you end up going into. I think it'll just come with, I know it may sound cheesy, but it's just the passion and your want to help, and like your heart, and like saying, oh, I need to help them. So that's why I think like hospitality students, we obviously are going to school because of this. It stands out versus your other coworkers that are maybe just there for a job. That will definitely stick out, because some people, they don't take it as seriously as you will. And I think that passion will come through, and it'll show when you're going through those difficult moments. I don't really think there's like a certain thing that you can do to prepare for it. It just comes with the experience and actually living it when you get there.
Yeah, I will definitely agree with that. One thing about being in hospitality is in your friends group, you will be the person who always has an interesting story to tell about some of the things that you will experience. So that's definitely an interesting part of it. I think it goes back to taking yourself out of the equation, and actually being able to listen to the person, whether it's an associate that's letting you know about something that was bothering them, a guest, a client, whatever area you're coming from. A lot of times people will tell you what it is that they want, and you just have to listen for it. So let's say someone's at the desk, you're a front desk agent, and they come up and say, they're checking out, you ask them how everything was, and they say it's not great. You ask them what went wrong, and they let you know, well, I checked in and there was trash still in my trash can from the prior guest. I didn't realize that parking was paid for when I got here, so that was an extra expense I didn't account for, and the bartender double charged me for my drink or something like that. That person if you're not paying attention, you just feel like they're kind of attacking your service as a hotel. But if you're listening, they just gave you 2 different ways to make it right for them. Do you want to go ahead and take care of that drink for them? Do you want to go ahead and comp parking for them? People are going to tell you what can make it right. You just have to be listening for it. And it's not always going to be that simple, but if you read between the lines, you can figure it out generally. I hope that helps.
Thank you. That was some insightful advice. I really appreciate being here with the both of you and learning all these things. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Don't be a stranger. Add us on LinkedIn if you need something. Message us.
I will do that. I will do that.
So next up, we have a question from Nhi. Would you like to unmute yourself?
Hi, it's really nice to meet you guys today. My name is Yi Zheng, and I am a sophomore majoring hospitality at Georgia State. And I am also the event chair for American Hotel and Lodging Association. So I have a question today is about, you guys seem very passionate about what you are doing. So how do you keep yourself motivated every day to do your job, and especially during, the pandemic? How do you keep yourself motivated and keep going?
That's a really good question. I appreciate that one. For me, it's the team. As a leader, you are in service to your team. And a lot of people forget that when they get into a leadership position, they think that their team is there to serve them, but it's really the other way around. Your job is to clear the way for them and make their jobs easier. And just knowing that they're going to go out there and they're going to give 100% every single day makes you want to go out there and do the same thing. So your team, when you start hiring people and when you become part of a good team, just being in service to them every day really does keep you involved and wanting to do more and more and get to that next level with them.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think in hospitality, you just have a camaraderie that's different. I mean, the very first team I worked with at CNN, like we're all in different places now, but we keep in touch. We have like a Facebook group chat, and we just reminisce on like the good old days. And we honestly, after you have like a rough day at the front desk or a rough day with clients, you only really have each other. You can't vent and like say things to like other people, like, because they don't know what you're talking about. And then with Expedia, the pandemic was definitely not an easy time. A lot of people got laid off. Our team was way smaller than it was before. And I think overall having good leadership and seeing my leader be motivated, if it wasn't that way around, I can't even imagine what we would be like. But yeah, definitely the people you work with and the leadership that's overlooking you. And you won't always have, I don't mean this in a bad way, you won't always have great leaders or people that have a certain position, and you'll ask yourself, like, how did they even get in that role? But you just have to remember to be kind and humble. And at the end of the day, I think it is, for me right now, I have a team, but my main people are my hotel partners. What motivates me, I guess, right now during this pandemic is how I can help a hotel, get more business through Expedia, because I know they've been going through, a very, very rough year.
That's a very great insight. Thank you for your answer.
All right. We're at 5:28 p.m. right now, and I do want to respect our guest speaker's time today. As we wrap up the event today, I want to remind our students here today to stay in touch with our alumni. You can connect with them on LinkedIn, and that's something I will do as well. And so thank you so much for being here today, Maria and Joshua. I've learned a lot, and for reference, this event has been recorded and it will be uploaded on our YouTube. So in case you want to share it with your network in the future, that will be available. I can send you the link after it's been uploaded. So another reminder is that we're still looking for student officers for spring and fall for NSMH. So if you are interested, please give me an email and I'll reply to you as soon as possible. Yeah, so that wraps up our event today. Thank you so much for being here. And I mean, hopefully we can meet in person soon when all of this is, when everyone's vaccinated. I know that the School of Hospitality is having an anniversary, I believe, in like 2023. So that's when everyone's gonna be like invited to like a fancy dinner. So yeah, probably we can meet. We can meet then.
Yes, when things are a little bit back to normal, that would be amazing.
Yes. Yeah, so again, thank you so much for your time and for all of your insights. We really appreciate you being here today, and I guess we'll see you in the future.
Yes, please, thank you guys for everything, and honestly, stay in touch. You know, we're here to help. I love talking to students and just, you know, use us as a resource. You know, we're here to help you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.